Welcome back to Five Friday Feedback. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, we talked about how to master your emotions for investing glory. I hope you had a chance to listen to Monday's episode. If you haven't, I would certainly listen to this whole thing in its entirety and then go back and listen to that episode because I think we knocked it out of the park, but I think that most of the time.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with believing in yourself. There's nothing wrong with thinking that you got a good product. But yeah, I think you got it right, though. I think listen to today's podcast. This will be like the Cliff Notes version. You know, you first kind of get the concepts, go back to Monday, really let it soak in and get that rich details. But with that being said, let's get right into Friday's episode. Welcome back. I hope you had an amazing week. If you're watching this on a Friday, hope you had an amazing week. If you're watching this on any other day, hey, listen, it's a great day to make it a great day. So let's make it a great day. So emotions. You don't think they play as big a part in your finances as you think? Well, you would be wrong. I honestly, I can't think of anything that plays more of a what am I getting at, Chris? More of a, dude, I'm like racking my brain.
A factor? Like
yes,
a factor?
Thank you. Good Lord. Where's my, dude, I need to get my my neuro gum. My brain is just took a nose that, hey, listen, it's Friday. I'm in Saturday mode already. You caught me at a bad time, Chris. No, but freaking emotions, there's nothing more important when it comes to your finances. It plays the biggest deciding factor on whether you save for retirement, whether you build a good financial base, whether you save your family from poverty and living on the streets, or you figure out how to build a castle and you live happily ever after. That being said, we're going to be talking a lot about how you can really conquer those emotions and use them to your advantage rather than them taking advantage of you. Because let's be honest, we've all been involved in one scheme or another that we thought would be the best thing ever because our emotions drove us to it. Whether that was greed, whether that was envy, whether that was fear. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe that pump and dump stock. Maybe that crypto sketchy thing that you really didn't know anything about and you invested in and it went to, below zero. I don't know. They were talking all about that. So, Chris, let's dive right into it. Where should we start?
Let's talk about how the emotional side of investing. I think that a lot of economists, a lot of quote unquote financial experts, and I put that at very strong quotation marks, like to assume that the investors, that everyday people that invest are rational. They are rational entities going through this life, dictated based off of the numbers, the fundamentals, and everything from a numbers perspective. And they're not going to make any emotional decision. If I can make one thing clear, if you get one thing from this podcast, it is you included and all investors are in no way rational. In fact, investors are predictably irrational, especially under emotional stress. And what is more emotionally stressing than watching the hard-earned money that you worked for years go up before your eyes? Your life energy, the time, the dedication, the one non-renewable resource that you have in this life is your time. And you trade that to your workplace for money, to give value to somebody else so that they will provide you money in return. Therefore, you have traded your life for this magical thing that we call money. Now, when you invest that money and it's going up, hey, look it. I put my energy into something and it's getting even higher. My energy is growing. I, therefore, am growing, becoming a better person. That feels wonderful. Our emotions are high. We're feeling hopeful. We're feeling content. We're feeling gratitude. And then one day you wake up. Maybe it's a tweet. Maybe it's a invasion. Maybe someone just decided, hey, and maybe it was just an algorithm run amok. And now you see your life energy drop by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%. 50% of your life is now gone. 50% of the work that you put in for your entire life is now gone. Do you not think that that will not be emotionally stressful state? And if when you're in your height of emotions, think about a fight with your spouse, when you're yelling at your kid, when you're in the middle of traffic, do you think that's the moment that you want to have a video camera put on you? That you want to be remembered for those moments? That is what your emotions do to you. They turn you into the worst version of yourself. You drop down to the level of your training, not the person you aspire to be, the person that you are at your core. And that person, while still a wonderful person, is not a great investor.
What are you saying, Chris? You're saying, I'm emotionally unstable? Are you saying that because I go to the grocery store hungry, I can't make rational decisions? What are you talking about? Speaking from experience, I was at the grocery store an hour ago, way too hungry. Made a lot of bad moves. Though I did get bananas, I did get some fruits and vegetables. You know me. But I also decided that I'm going to be making some ice cream later tonight, so that's not great either. So, hey, wins and losses, at least we're having fun. And that is not great financial advice there. You want to stay as even keel, like emotionally stable as possible. But how do we do that, Chris? How do we keep our level headedness? How do we be the Chris Monzons of the Chris Monzons? How do we do it, Chris? You're the most level headed guy I know. How do you do it?
Well, that's sad if I'm the most level-headed guy that you know, but I think a lot of it is just knowing yourself. I mean, Socrates once said, "To know thyself is the greatest gift." Know thyself. That it all comes from that. Understanding your emotions, understanding that your emotions are fleeting entities that come and they go. And it's our attachment to them, our feeling that this anger is justified and therefore will stay there forever. This fear is justified, will stay there forever. This happiness is justified and should stay there forever. That's the thing that causes the suffering. That's the thing that causes the issue. Emotions aren't inherently bad. They're just signals. And those signals are meant to push you in a way that is survivally adaptive to you. And it's worked for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years, in fact, in keeping us alive. And when it comes to the stock market, when it comes to these things that are completely irrational, completely unrelated to the way that we come from as human beings, as animals, we don't know how to interpret those things. So we have fear, we have anger, we have greed, we have hope, optimism, gratitude, all of these things wrapped up into this thing we call money, into this thing we call the economy, this thing we call investing. And if we can't control that thing, and it's not controlling the economy, it's not controlling the investing, it's not controlling the money, it's controlling ourselves. That is the only thing we have the power to do. And I kind of look at it as there's divine issues, there's your issues, and there's my issues. I can't do anything about the divine issues. I can't do anything about the stock market. I can't do anything about the weather. I can't do anything about a solar flare. And then there's you issues. I can't do anything about the way that you feel. I am not subservient to try to make you feel better. There's one thing that I do have control over, and that's my issues. How I choose to react to those things. And that's what I want people to understand when it comes to money. You can't change money. Money is what it is. If you're in a bad relationship with your spouse, with your partner, with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and you hope that they're going to change, you're already losing the battle. But at least that person has the propensity to change, however unlikely that is. But money is just a tool. Money has zero propensity to change. Therefore, you must change with your relationship to money. The money is not the issue. You are the issue. Your fear, your greed, your envy, that is the issue. These are negative emotions. Those are the things that are causing you to panic sell, to hoard cash, to avoid the markets, to go into your pump and dump schemes, to try to get rich quick because you saw somebody else do it on TikTok. It's not the fact that they got money. It's the fact that you thought that you deserved it. It's not the fact that the stock market's going down. It's the fact that you think it shouldn't be that way. That's the issue. It's the emotions, not what's happening in the real world. The way that you believe the story should have unfolded rather to what it is unfolding. And I just hit you with like a bunch of Buddhist concepts.
So much.
You know how I like to weave Buddhism into literally everything. So what did you get from all that, Dominic? We talked a lot about the negative emotions. In a second, we will talk about the positive emotions because there is both sides of the handles to pull from.
And, there's so much to unpack there. So much to unpack there. Actually, I loved what you were saying. I really enjoyed what you were saying. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, I need to like sit, go line by line. It's like watching like a Jordan Peterson, like these high level thinkers. They're saying these things. Dude, okay, slow down. You're getting too deep, right? You're at a 10, I'm at a 6, right? Takes me a second to catch up to you, right? That's kind of how I feel listening to that, right? It's like, and I encourage all the listeners, literally no shame, going back. Chris says a line, pause, think on it for 15 minutes. How do you respond to that? Do you agree with it? Do you challenge it? Do you play off of it, right? Where do you want to go from there? Press play again, right? Next line, right? That's what I like to do with our podcast, to be honest. Um, I was hoping that you could give us a few book recommendations to kind of help with emotions. And if you knew any, because I know you're a big book guy, I know you're a huge podcast guy. Was there maybe a book or two that really helped you develop your emotional side in regards to just in general, I guess?
Hmm.
I know it's a very uncommon thing to ask. It's like, hey, bro, you got any books on emotions? It's like the most like, no, I read books on war and history. It's like, no, I'm sorry. Um,
I'm trying to remember what the book is called, but I think it's called The Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama. And I can't remember. Desmond Tutu was the other person. That was a really good book on the positive emotions:
yeah.
joy, happiness, contentness, gratitude. When it comes
Okay.
to the negative emotions, I can't really think of emotions that do that. There are a few ones that I've read that were related to trying to be better with your emotions, trying to not feel anger. But if I had to think of one book that kind of ties everything together, it's Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Mm,
I would recommend that book for
okay.
not understanding your emotions per se, but understanding how your mindset dictates all things in your reality, including your emotions.
Like that. I think that's a good book recommendation. I pulled it up just now. I'll save that one for later. Also, another one I feel like we quote all the time that helped me personally manage, not necessarily, yeah, I would probably say my emotions as well, but extreme ownership, Jocko Willing. That's a great one as well, especially if you're just a red meat eating guy who loves to go to the gym. It's pretty relatable, minus all the combat stuff. But very enjoyable book that kind of helped me just like see things. It's like, oh wow, cool. My car didn't start today. Good. Gives me a chance to learn more about cars and understand why I didn't. Right. Honestly, for me, it not, it kind of took emotions out of the picture. Do you get that feeling as well? For those, I don't know, maybe those have read the book. But for me, it's not like being there's just emotions didn't play a factor in it anymore.
So I think Jocko is very much a Stoic philosopher. Like if you were like to say like he's a modern day Stoic philosopher, and many people think of Stoicism with the lowercase s of Stoic, like Batman. I show no emotions, maybe just anger. That's okay, but like I'm just even keel all the time. But capital S Stoicism, the actual philosophy, has nothing to do with the suppression of your emotions. It has to do with the choice of which emotions to allow to flow. So the Stoics never talk about suppressing your emotions. They talk about using your emotions at the right time. So they say, yes, you're going to be angry. Yes, you're going to be sad. Yes, you're going to be mad, hopeful, greedy, all of these things. And you get the chance to, before you respond with your habitual reaction, to question it and to think about it and then to react in the best form. And it's the exact same thing with Jocko saying, good. Hey, my car doesn't start today. My wife left me. Good. Now you can say emotionally, no, she did leave me. If she did, I'd be sitting here crying. But if you say
Good.
good,
I
now,
could find a new
yeah,
wife, a better wife. It's like, yeah, that's crazy work. Okay. No, but
no, but
I
like,
please continue. I just had to stop on
but,
that. That just was like the funniest thing to me.
but you say good, and that doesn't mean that you suppress the emotions of sadness. That doesn't mean you suppress the emotions of anger, of fear, maybe disgust, envy, all of these things. But you allow hope to come through, confidence, optimism to come through in saying good. Those emotions are still there, but you choose to pull from the handle that serves you to say, man, she left me, but good, because we weren't making each other happy. Now maybe she can go and find somebody that's better suited for her, and I can find someone that's better suited to me. It's not saying that the anger isn't there, the sadness, all those things aren't there, but it's you get to choose on what you want to focus on. Too many people go through life and they feel whatever their first emotion is, and they believe that that is truth, and that is the only truth that is available to them, without realizing that there is a pantheon of other feelings, emotions that they have access to that they forgot to even look at. And only by questioning, okay, so I'm feeling sad. Is sadness the only emotion I'm feeling here? Oh, I'm also kind of feeling some anger. Why am I angry? I'm angry because maybe she lied to me, so I feel betrayed. And that betrayal makes me think of this thing, makes me think of this, makes me think of this. And then eventually maybe you'll get down to the point of like, but how lucky am I that I found out now at this age? I'm really grateful that I'm only in my 30s and this didn't happen until I was 60. I'm maybe content with what is. I'm hopeful for the future. I'm confident that I'll bounce back on my feet. All of those things are true, and all of the bad things are true simultaneously. And you get to choose consciously how you want to react. So when Jocko says good, he's not saying don't take the emotions. He's saying choose the emotions that you want to respond with, because you can't get the emotions out of you. You are not a robot. You are a human being, and our emotions are a part of us. Just like our hands and our feet, you can't take it out. I don't know where it is, where emotions lie in the body, maybe in the brain, maybe in the gut, maybe in the heart. It seems to be like it is an entire system, all interconnected with one another. That's where the saying gut feeling comes from. A gut feeling is an emotional response that you feel in your stomach. And then you can say, oh no, but everything happens in the brain. We don't really know that. We just don't. Our system of how our body works, of consciousness, is so far beyond our current realm of understanding that we just can't even begin to conceive of it. So we have to use these vague terms like mind-body connection as if they're two separate entities when they are not. They're one entity. We need to be able to figure that out through our words. Went off on another crazy tangent.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I'm going to replay it twice on Sunday. I love it. So I kind of want to do a little bit more of like a final thoughts before we recap. I say quote unquote recap, but really we're just having a conversation about emotional intelligence as far as like investing and more. I guess we kind of went off on a bit of a philosophical journey there for a minute. And if you do really want to learn more about how to operate the most efficiently, when it comes to your finances, I highly recommend going back and listening to Monday's episode. And that was episode 97 that was. But final thoughts, anything you have for us, Chris, practical tools to kind of to stay grounded, to stay here and now, present, before we move on to your mailbag.
I'll give you 3.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of discontent, a lot of emotional decisions, a lot of people's being bad with money can be fixed with a pause. Just taking a second and not giving in to the first reaction that you have. Because the first reaction is, hey, that guy just made a bunch of money doing that. I should do that too. They're all selling. I should sell too. They're all buying. I should buy too. I feel greed. I feel envy. I feel fear. I feel whatever. I should do that too, without questioning the long-term ramifications, without questioning, are they doing something because they're in a different situation than I am? And I can almost guarantee you that, yes, they're in a different situation because we're all in different situations from each other. No two people are living the exact same lives. So the 3 tools that I'm going to give you to stay grounded is, number 1, create an investment policy statement. And that means that you're going to write down your goals, your risk tolerances, your rules for investing, your rules for your money. Too many people, we go to the internet, we say, what should my investment policy statement be? Socrates said, know thyself. You need to figure it out for yourself. You can find guidance, you can find tips, but you need to create it for yourself. Don't go and use mine. Don't use Dominic's. Don't use one that ChatGPT came up with. Create it for yourself. That way, when stuff hits the fan, you know that I created this. I created it for reasons, not just because ChatGPT spat it out to me. You need to be able to have the ability to critically think. Number 2, we have pre-commitment devices nowadays. How lucky are we that we have things like automatic investing? You can go to Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, whatever your custodian is, for the most part, and set up automated good decisions while you're emotionally sober to say, this is what I'm going to do, regardless of what's happening in the market, regardless of what's going on. And just because you make that commitment now, that doesn't mean you have to stay with it forever. So many people fear like, well, what happens if I lose my job? What happens if this or that? You have the ability to stop it. Just because you said you did something once doesn't mean you have to stick with it forever. And the final thing is, I want you to start journaling your emotions with your money, with your investing. Track how you feel when the markets are up, when the markets are down, when your bank account looks good, when your bank account looks bad. And compare what you did to what you believed you would do. You need to begin to build self-awareness. Because so many of us say, oh yeah, if the stock market went down 50%, man, that's a golden buying opportunity. You say that now. But tomorrow when the stock market is down 50%, we all go like, oh God, like I can't invest right now. It's too scary. If the stock market is down 50%, there is a reason for that. It's not like everything's going well and then the stock market goes down 50%. There is something happening that we don't understand, or maybe we have a brief glimmer into what is happening for us to all freak out. So you need to know yourself, have rules in place. And even with those rules, you're still going to freak out. It's still going to be hard. And that's not the end of the journey. That was just practice. Practice for the next go around. You're never actually at the game. You're just at practice. Keep on practicing your entire life to get better and better and better in the aspiration of being a better person for yourself and a better person for the whole, to raise other people up in service of yourself and others. And with that, I say we move on to viewer mailbag, unless you have anything to close us out with, Dom.
I have nothing to close us out with. And I mean, that was perfect. I loved it. I loved it. So we're going to be moving on to our viewer mailbag section. This is the part of the podcast where either we have someone write into us, or, you know, we might find a story online and talk about it a little bit. Today is going to be a very interesting one. So this is one that you found, Chris. Actually, you said your wife found on one of the many forums she was in. I'm not sure if you wanted to mention that or not, so I kind of doxed it a little bit. We're good.
I'll go ahead and talk about it. So
yeah, please.
I titled this one Entitled Points Hoarder, a cautionary tale for travel hacking community. So my wife is a member of quite a few travel hacking. We're big into credit card hacking, using credit cards to accumulate points to be able to travel the world for mostly free. And there was a post that was written, and it showed up on one of my wife's travel groups, and the person was asking for some help. And while I normally don't scroll past this, my wife brought this one to me. And this one really stuck with me because it's exactly the kind of mindset that gets people into trouble. And then expect someone else to pay for their consequences. So this one really pissed me off. And the thing that was the worst is that they asked the question that we're about to read here in a second. So audience members, you get to hear what it is they're asking for. And the worst part is that people were actually trying to help these people. So Dominic, would you like to read the post that was shared anonymously so our audience members can talk about it or can think about it? And then I will give my 2 cents as if this person was reaching out to the Fi Guys.
100%. Here we go. We're going to be filing for bankruptcy this year. Not ideal, but it is what it is. I have a bunch of points. 450,000 points on Amex and 250,000 points with Chase. For those who don't know, Chris, is that a lot of points or is that chump change?
No, 700,000 points is a lot of points. Depending on what their sign-up bonus is, what their spend is normally, I'm going to guess that they probably did this all in sign-up bonuses just based off of the numbers they gave right there. That's probably 5 to 6 different credit cards.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. I've worked hard racking up those. I've worked hard racking those up through spending and sign-up bonuses. There you go.
Good for you.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, I got to take a pause right there. I might pause a few times during this one, guys, just a heads up. But yeah, let's keep it going. We've got 2 kids under 10 who love to travel. And I really want to use those points to squeeze in a couple more trips over the next year or two before everything closes in. Okay.
Maybe we'll take this line by line. One thing that it just kills me sometimes is that parents will use their kids as the emotional, like, this is the reason I have to do this. If you like to travel, just say, hey, we like to travel. Hey, we're irresponsible with our money. Hey, we're not great when it comes to these things. But don't use your kids as like, this is the reason that I have to spend money. It's because of my kids. There are people in this country right now who have kids who would love to travel to Hawaii, who would love to travel around the world, who make the right financial decision for where they are right now and not put themselves into the situation that you find yourself in. Don't use your kids as an excuse to not be good with money. Because I can almost guarantee that you weren't good with money before your kids. And now you have an excuse to do it. It's like the person that you go over to their house and their house is just a complete mess, trash everywhere. And they're like, oh, it's because I have kids. My kids do this. It's like, bro, I've known you for the past decade and your house looked like trash before you had kids. It's not the kid issue. It's a you issue.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. And I'm sure, viewer, you know a few people like that. So moving back on to where we're at. So 2 kids under 10 who love to travel. Who doesn't love to travel? right? Maybe if you're like a 95-year-old grandma, I mean, maybe then, right? You just got no more life in you, respectfully. I don't know. Maybe you live to 120. I don't know. I don't know your journey. We've had a rough year, but this could be a way to still enjoy some family time and make good memories while we can. Pause. All right. Just because you're filing for bankruptcy doesn't mean anybody's getting executed. Usually, death is like the final chapter for most people. Bankruptcy, it's not the final chapter. So there's still life after bankruptcy. A financially, you know, you know, tough life, but maybe we'll get into that with Chris a little bit later. I usually use Chase points for Hyatt. Works well for us, but I have no clue what to do with the Amex. I'm guessing the cards will get shut down in 6 months or so, but does anyone know if that'll mess up my reservations I make now? I'm just trying to plan ahead. You liar. Respectfully, I don't want to be rude, but this is like it's like a pseudo planning ahead, you know? Like
Well, you would think they would have planned ahead when they were spending all the money. Like, hey, how can we pay this off? But now it's just like, well, since we lied and we basically did fraud, can I fraud some more in planning ahead? Like, this is the worst kind of actions that someone can take.
Yeah, this is the bad side of planning ahead. This is not planning ahead. This is like, hey, like I don't, yeah. You guys understand. You guys understand what we're dealing with here. So, to be clear, I'm not proud of where we're at, but I'm not looking to be judged either. Nobody likes to be judged. Yeah, nobody likes to be judged.
We're judging you.
We're normally we don't pull like a Dave Ramsey and like crap all over your life and like judge you for everything. But when you're actively breaking the law and asking for people to like, hey, like anybody like worked at a bank recently? How do I rob this? Like it's pretty morally corrupt. Plus when you think about it, who's going to pay it when, you go for bankruptcy? The taxpayers pay it, right? Something like that. So we earn these hilarious. We earn these points, and I'd like to get something out of it before everything's gone. Truly appreciate your input. Now, I want to start off by saying I'm sorry for interrupting each line by line. I know some of the viewers would have preferred just read it straight through and then bash, but when something is as egregious as this, I can't stop myself. I gotta go line by line with my main man, Chris. So, I gotta read that last line again. It just kills me. We earned these points, and I'd like to get something out of it before everything's gone. Interesting. Is it earned if you don't pay it back? If you file for bankruptcy, do the points disappear? I mean, that's the most like niche-based question. Any thought on this one, Chris? I would assume they'd go away.
I would assume so as well. I would assume that because and then it says from charged it all, took the fall. Now we're scheming for a points haul.
Nice.
So we earned these points is straight up crazy. Like you spent beyond your means on borrowed money that you plan to not pay back. And now you're filing for bankruptcy and trying to lock in free travel on the way out. You committed fraud in order to get the points. And now you're committing fraud with the points before they retract the points. This is double fraud.
Yeah.
And this was the craziest thing about this whole post when my wife showed it to me was there was so many kind people in the forum who was sitting there like, oh, you could do this with your points. You can do this with your points. You can do this with your points. But the first post, the post that got all the likes was one person wrote in and said, do you guys realize that these people are defrauding the bank? They're defrauding themselves, and they're making this entire community look terrible. This is not the point of credit card hacking. This is not the point of travel rewards. Travel rewards is, in my opinion, one of the most cool things that we have at our fingertips with credit cards. You have the ability to earn points through your normal spend to be able to redeem to travel the world for free, to go and see the world. That is so cool. We want this ecosystem to continue. And people like this are the reason that it's going to go away at some point, because people like this are doing things like this. They put a statement at the beginning that this is not ideal, but it is what it is. That is not accountability in any way, shape, or form. that's shrugging off your financial wreckage like it's just a delayed Amazon order. Oh, I don't give a shit. It is what it is. This is your life. And now you're looking to, how can I plan for the future? How can I plan to have fun, but not have to actually be responsible for the things that I don't like? You asked to not be looked to be judged. What that translates to me is, please validate my poor decisions so I can feel better about gaming the system. It's frustrating to me that this isn't someone who's just trying to survive. This is someone who over leveraged themselves, ignored the math, and is now trying to extract every last drop of the upside before the system they abuse shuts the door in their face. This is not the kind of person we want in our community. This is not the kind of person that would write into the Fi Guys anyway. So it's completely fine. That's the reason I have no problem bashing them, because this isn't a viewer of ours. This is just someone that posted on something. What actually happens to your points when you close accounts is they get retracted. So I hope if you do book your reservations that they pull it back and they make you pay in cash. The morality of quote unquote earning your rewards on borrowed money is completely unethical. It's illegal. It is fraud. Like, it is in the terms and conditions that you can't do that. And the bigger issue is how the travel rewards culture and the fire adjacent echo chambers can encourage entitlement and this delusion. I love travel rewards. I am a big proponent of it. We have taught, I don't know how many podcasts on how to go about doing what my wife and I have learned over the past decade. This is spitting in the face of that. This is not that. We are not trying to create a scenario in which we win so that the bank loses. Yes, ultimately, the bank is trying to win. We're trying to win. The goal is for us both to win. We're going to spend on the card. We're going to do everything by the books, and we're going to get points for that. The goal is not to try to pull one over on Wall Street. The goal is not to do that, because at the end of the day, when you screw over the bank, when you declare bankruptcy, yeah, the bank has to suffer. They have to pay money, but they don't. It's not like the bank's going to lose that money. The bank doesn't. The bank's just going to go ahead and subsidize it across all of its members. And that sucks, that some people can take advantage of things like that. This is not what travel hacking is about. I have nothing to say to this person outside of, you need to get your financial house in order. Those points are not your points. You did not earn them in any way, shape, or form. Good luck with your bankruptcy. And I hope that you start planning ahead financially rather than trying to plan ahead for the next part of your trip. And don't use your kids as a scapegoat for your bad money decisions. That's on you. It has nothing to do with them. You didn't earn anything, and you're not taking any responsibility. There is no extreme ownership. There's not even an iota of ownership in this. They know that they did something wrong, and they're looking to other people to make themselves feel better about it. And that's pretty shitty. So that's it. No big hugs, no nothing.
No. You know, it reminds me of, this is what it kind of reminds me of, is, you know, you're a kid. Maybe you're not that smart. Maybe you're not that good in class. And you find a way to cheat on a test. And you finally get an A. And you bring it home, show your mom, show your dad, show them, you know, you're so proud of this A. They're so proud of you, right? It's BS. It's a lie. It's not real. It's cheating. You didn't earn it. You didn't earn the praise of the A+. You don't earn the trip. You know, I always try to learn something from everyone. And even bad people. Even the most morally corrupt people. And one of the things that, you know, we can learn from this person is it's so important to take accountability for your actions, right? But I find it so interesting that some people are able to disconnect completely with the consequences. Disconnect completely with how their actions influence others. I find that so interesting. I'm not one to completely disconnect. I'm not a person who takes advantage just because it's going to go unnoticed. It's so important that you're not just good in public, but it's more important to be good in private. You know, I don't think their heart is in the right place. I just believe that, like they said in their message, oh, we're going to file for bankruptcy anyways. We're going to be in the crapper anyways. Listen, we're already in a crap situation. What difference does it make? And that's morally bankrupt. That's it is socially disrespectful to everybody else who has to cover for it. And it's just, you can do better. You can do so much better. You can do so much better. everything from the accountability. I mean, at the core of it, it's an accountability and it's a morality issue, or it's just I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. But I hope that you start taking extreme accountability for the bankruptcy. I hope the bankruptcy, and I mean this with love in my heart, I hope the bankruptcy hurts. I hope it hurts bad. And I hope it's a real wake-up call. And I don't wish pain on you, but I wish for the pain to cause the change to make you a better person. Because a person like this is going to need a big hurt in order to change something that deep. Asking for help is wild. It's wild. Asking for help to continue the scheme is wild. Is so wild. So wild.
So we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, best of luck.
I mean, honestly, like best of luck in their schemes. I hope that you don't go to jail.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's not for this, they're going to go to jail for something. Like you're probably not going to go to jail for this, but I'm guessing if you're doing this, you're probably doing other stuff that's sketchy too.
Yeah.
But best of luck to you. I hope. Thank you for living your journey so that we don't have to, so that we can learn from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I say we move on to win of the week.
Yeah. I mean, this is like one of the few times where win of the week is actually implemented in the way we kind of created it, right? We have win of the week, so we end the podcast on a high note. Usually we end it on a high note, but now since this mailbag has brought us down so low, now we can go on to win of the week. So with that being said, what is your win of the week, Chris?
So this past Saturday, I'm going to move back to San Diego here in just a few weeks. So at Jiu-Jitsu, I'm a coach over there at Gracie Barra. They asked me, hey, Chris, before you leave, we would love for you to teach a special class. So I got to go in there and I taught a few things. I got to teach some of my old wrestling skills. So I taught an ankle pick. I taught a triangle that I like to use. And then I taught a few transitions of how to escape from the triangle and how to move around and just kind of show the back and forth of jiu-jitsu. I thought I was just going there to teach a special class, say goodbye to everybody. What I didn't know is that I was also receiving my next belt promotion. So it was super cool to hang out with my friends. Thank you to the Gracie Barra team for opening their arms to me. And it's been such a fun time being here in Arizona and training with you guys. I'm going to take my skills to San Diego, and hopefully what they've taught me holds up out there, which I'm sure it will. So be able to have some fun out in San Diego rolling with those guys and gals. But to my team out here in Phoenix, it's just been such a great time. So thank you guys so much for all that you've done for me. Thank you for all the good training, the good roles. I wouldn't be where I am today if not for all the work that they put in with me to make me better, because you can't get better at jiu-jitsu by yourself. You need partners. You need good partners. It's the same thing with financial independence. You can't do it alone. No one is a self-made man. You can call me anything, but you can't call me a self-made man, because there's no way that I made it to this point alone.
That's beautiful. That is A1 beautiful. I love that. Well, congratulations on your newest rank. That's a purple belt, correct, Chris? If I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yep.
That's so freaking cool. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Guys, if you like, you guys are more than welcome to share your win of the weeks down below in the comments, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's on Spotify, wherever you can put comments, feel free to put comments. Bro, my win of the week is I got a bit of a sweet tooth recently, and I had some heavy cream that I got to get rid of. So I decided to make 3 new ice creams from scratch, and in a 2-parter, ironically. You can't have ice cream and not have the gym, right? I got to do both of them, right, boys? So the first part of my win of the week is making the ice cream. Second part of the week is, at the gym I go to, they have this like recovery room, and I always like walk by and I'm like, I don't really need that. I do my stretching. I do like the Theragun and like, all that fun stuff. Like I'm good. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pop in. I'll pop in, just see what's up. And they had these massage chairs there, and I have a massage chair at home. So I was like, it's a massage chair. Like, how much better can it be? And it was the greatest massage chair I've never felt. It was like, man, my massage chair at home sucks. Like, I love my massage chair, but man, these ones it did everything and some. I was so excited. So that's, in a weird way, I figured out some cool massage chairs at my gym and made some
cool
dope ass ice cream.
So I go to that same gym for another like few weeks. So Dom,
Yeah.
next you and I are gonna lift next week before our pod next week. So let's you got to show me those chairs. I've never been inside that room either. I always walk by it. So you show me
It's
those.
fun. It's fun. Have you done the one where they like compress your legs like in the middle? Have you ever done that one?
No, show me.
No.
We'll check it out
We're
next
gonna
week.
try it all. We're gonna try it all. Heck yeah. So, well, boys,
So
that's
join us
gonna be-
next week so you get to hear us right after the gym or be
Exactly.
pumped.
Exactly. We're gonna be looking twice as huge, swole. We might not even fit on the screen. So put it in wide mode. But that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope that this episode and Monday's episode helped you with your emotions in regards to finance, maybe even more than finance, right? I know we're a finance channel, but to be honest, if we're just impacting your money, that's not enough for us. We want to impact your whole life. So if you felt like we impacted you in any way, feel free to give us a like, a follow, and share this with someone else. It's so much better going on this journey with someone else. Trust and believe that is true. With that being said, he's Chris. I'm Dom. We're the Five Guys, and we'll see you on Monday. Later, guys.
Later. This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.